Hello, beautiful friends. This is Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and maybe even fall asleep. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I am here to help you deepen in your connection with your beautiful angels and open more deeply to the magic in your soul. During my waking hours, I facilitate angel sessions and soul mentoring, and I offer a variety of classes. And you can learn more about that at illuminatingsouls.com. I also have a daily email where I send out inspiring messages to you. You can register there on my homepage. And then you can also find me on Illuminating Souls on Facebook. So lots of ways for us to connect. And I'm wondering if you might be open to sharing with me a little bit about you, because one of the things about podcasts is I don't really know who's listening. I see numbers, but you are far more than a number. So feel free to reach out and let me know if you're listening and how the podcast is working for you. And you can email me at info@illuminatingsouls.com. And so now we will get started. Welcome to the first episode I am recording for the new year. And I am not necessarily feeling the bright, shiny energies of the new year. I'm feeling the profoundness of this moment. And so the angels and I are coming forward to help infuse you with love as we step through this portal into the new year. I think one of the things that is so helpful about these moments is it becomes easier to feel into the holiness of these gateways. You have been through a profound few years. We all have, and it's continuing. And as we come into the new year, sometimes we can feel into some of the opportunities and blessings and maybe even challenges that are on the path ahead. But the beautiful thing about traveling this path and calling in the angels is no matter what, on bright, sunny days and on cloudy, stormy days, the angels are here for you. So I invite you to take a beautiful, big, deep breath in and out as we invite the angels forward. They're already here. They were here long before I plugged in my microphone. They have been broadcasting this stream of love for you. for quite a while now. And this relationship with the angels, it belongs to you. I often tell people you get to take the angels home with you. You don't require me as an intermediary. You have a direct, sacred connection with your divine team of light. So I invite you to snuggle in, cozy on up underneath your blankets if you have some on top of you, or just rest in your favorite chair. Whatever feels in alignment for you, you get comfortable and allow your breath to grow deeper. Breathing in and out, and giving yourself permission to let go and breathe in the love of God. And beautiful angels on high, we ask that you join us here, and we acknowledge you are already present in every breath. We ask that you infuse this moment with grace, with love, with healing, and with light, in service to each of our highest and best goods. Angels, I ask that you create a sanctuary of light where each person who hears this message will receive what they require. We are so grateful for your love and for the support you bring to us, seen and unseen. And so, dear ones, just take another breath in and out and allow yourself to receive. You are doing enough. The angels do not require you to meditate more or pray more. Somehow, on the human journey, we sometimes perceive that deepening in our spiritual endeavors requires more doing. Often, it is more about just being in the love. You see, this frequency of love always exists. If you'll think of it like a radio station, there are many radio broadcasts that are always taking place that you never listen to. And so this vibration, this frequency of love with the angels is always streaming. And you are opening to this. You are building a relationship with this. And it doesn't mean that you will live 24/7 in a place of perceived divine grace all the time. Do not require that of yourself. As my guides like to say to me, We hate to break it to you, but you did not come here to be an avatar in this lifetime. You are a divine being in human form. And sometimes you are very, very, very human. So it's not expected that you would reach a state of Christ-like perfection. That's not the assignment, as they say, this time around. Rather, the grace and the love of the angels is here to support you as you navigate your daily life, to help you remember that you are always loved. And there's something about this love that is pure, and it is holy, and it fuels the brightness in our souls. And I know for me, when I come into this light with the angels, I always feel better. There are many reasons I do the work that I do. I love it so much. And it also has become essential to my self-care. That sometimes when I am in my earth girl mode, and some of you have heard me use that term before, that's the me that goes to Costco. And when it's crowded, I get annoyed with humanity, and I get impatient. Or the times when I get overwhelmed. Then I find my way back to the angels, and they help me gain altitude and remember who I am. So you have permission to be in the duality of life. Don't feel as if you are failing your path if you have moments of deep frustration or discontentment. We are here to navigate shadow and light. And it's my experience that the journey with the angels makes that more graceful. So you take a deep breath in and out and receive the love of your angels. They have known you since before you incarnated. They are aware of all you are navigating. They know your deepest prayers and intentions. And they are here to support you because there is not a single molecule of life that is unloved. It is the way the universe works. Love is. So as you rest and as you sleep, your angels will tend to you. They will watch over you. And since we are in the early days of the new year, they also will help to amplify your prayers and intentions. And don't feel like you need to make a list. Your vibrational body already speaks of all you desire to experience and become. The essence of your heart and soul is felt loudly in the universe. You can trust your path, and you can trust who you are and who you are becoming. You are moving through a time of transition. New dreams and sparks of inspiration are coming online for you. Give yourself permission to see yourself and the world through new eyes. Allow your soul whispers to come to you and help inspire you and illuminate your path. So just breathe in and out, and you rest into the arms of your angels. They will be here with you while I read to you. And for our reading in this episode, I thought I would dive into another issue of the Nautilus, a New Thought metaphysical magazine that was published in the early 1900s by Elizabeth Towne and her husband William. We're going to start with a segment called Briefs. This is written by William Towne. I felt something especially warm in the mail the other night, and after searching around a little, I located Soundview of Olalla, Washington as the source of the radiations. At first sight, I thought Kunzman had sent me a new sample book of colored papers, but on closer examination noted there were only 5 colors in the book, and the pages were printed. And then I recognized my friend Rader's magazine, albeit it had a new and gorgeous dress of red, yellow, and brown. The inside was especially bright, and this number is enlivened by a picture of the boss Evergreen. He's the editor, you know. Mrs. Evergreen's likeness was left out through an unfortunate oversight, but we shall look for hers later. You ought to have seen the funny procession which sported about our lawn the other day. First, there came a pompous, inflated gentleman. He was clothed in a gorgeous red jacket, and his back was brown. This was Papa Robin. Next, there came with vigorous but rather wobbly hops, Robin Jr. Then Mrs. Robin brought up the rear, flying from side to side and anxiously chirping a long string of instructions to her young hopeful. Occasionally she would alight beside him and then flit onto a branch of a nearby bush, trying to get the youngster to follow her. He would look up, flap his wings, and then sink back as if to say, "I can't do it, Mummy." 3 dogs came prancing across the lawn, and the 2 old robins became greatly excited. They flew from one side to the other and chirped instructions fast and hard. Robin Jr. hopped close to the foot of a low-growing shrub and almost completely hid himself in the undergrowth. Then he kept very still, and the old robins flew away for a short distance and quieted down. This next segment is called the Family Council, and it's a department of consultation and suggestion conducted by Elizabeth Towne. She writes, "In this department, I will try to reply to the 1,001 odds and ends of life problems and home interests which are presented to me, answers to which are not of general enough interest to make them suitable for the regular reading pages of the Nautilus. Every reader is welcome to what advice and suggestions I can give, and I sincerely hope that with the aid of this department, we can reach and help many more people. Welcome all, Elizabeth Towne. Let Saturn cross swords with the sun if he will. If you take a little extra pains to live up to the principles of new thought, you will not make more mistakes than at another time. Mistakes are all in your mind anyway. If you believe in mistakes, you will find them whenever you look for them. If you do your best and believe that all things work for your good, your mistakes will all prove right takers. Nearly every great invention has been a mistake. All were hit upon when the inventor was hunting for something else. Every little accident or mistake can be turned to good purpose if you believe in good and keep trying. To believe the stars are against you or that mistakes are calamities is to make them so because you don't look for the good and find it, because you get discouraged and quit trying. If the stars do influence things, they simply afford us special opportunities for finding out new things, for turning mistakes to beautiful results. And nearly every mistake, no matter what the stars say, can be avoided if you take extra pains, extra thought to do the thing right. The next snippet says, if you have trouble in going into the silence, it is hard to keep your mind free of thoughts and open to the infinite. Just use a single high thought as a center. Call your mind back to that every time you catch it wandering. After a few months or years of this kind of practice, you will find it easy to rest your thought without a special high thought as anchorage. I am preparing an article on being led by the Spirit, which will appear soon. I trust it will make things plainer to you and others who have asked similar questions. So this is another little snippet, an item from Ivy Chew. Everyone knows about the John Wanamaker store of Philadelphia, New York, and Paris. When they celebrated their 30th anniversary, they had printed a little herald as souvenirs of the occasion, and all who passed through the store that day received one complimentary. Among the many interesting items it contained was this one, that so especially impressed me that I have ventured to copy it for you, hoping you will pass it along. And it says, "It is a frequent complaint that there is no chance for the individual in business. In point of fact, there is nothing accomplished in business today any more than there ever was without individuality. There are fine laboratories all over the world, splendidly endowed as in no former age, but radium would have remained unknown but for Madame Curie. The progress of the age is a mere phrase. There is no progress except by the pathfinders. There is no substitute for individual effort, for singleness of purpose, for life consecration to ideals." The next section has books and things. The Object of Living by Will J. Irwood, Black River Falls, Wisconsin, 91 pages, paper bound, with halftone of the author, price 25 cents. Self-Synthesis, A Means to Perpetual Life by Cornwall Round Purebrook, Crescentwood Road, Sydenham Hall, London, paper-bound, illustrated, 32 pages, price 25 cents. Mental and Physical Culture for the Little Ones Before Habits Are Formed is the title of an instructive illustrated paper-bound book by Almond C. David, 993 N. H. Street, Los Angeles, California, price 40 cents. Other Worlds by Lena J. Fry, Box 336, Chicago, is a story of ideals in other worlds, written, as the author says, to show you how to secure a home and an income or a pension that will be your own as long as you live. Cloth, red and black, 194 pages with illustrations. Price $1. The Divine Man, a New Epic by Joseph Ware, is a 278-page book of poetry with handsome illustrations and a picture of the author bound in orange cloth and gold, published by True Light Publishing Company, Mechanicsburg, O. Price $2. One of its admirers calls this epic poem as great as Paradise Lost. Self-Culture is a charming new essay on individuality by our dainty friend Olive Durfee of the Latter-day Saints University, Salt Lake City, whose picture appears as a frontispiece. The volume contains 122 pages of bright, helpful philosophy bound in pale orange cloth and brown. Price $1. May many people find joy in Olive's message. Ready Money is an attractive 317-page volume cloth-bound by George H. Knox of the Personal Help Publishing Company, Des Moines, Iowa. It is a book of information and inspiration for those who mean to start life in a way to lead to success, and the author declares it is never too late to start right. There are some specially good paragraphs in this book. A Summer in the Apple Tree Inn is a charming children's story that will interest grown-ups too. The story of 4 youngsters who kept a playhouse in an orchard and had many thrilling experiences and were conjured into good habits and joy, written by Ella Partridge Lipset, with 4 illustrations by Mary Wellman, published by Henry Holt and Company, New York, 247 pages, in cloth apple blossoms cover. Price $1.25. Luminous Bodies Here and Hereafter by Charles Hallock, M.A., is an attempt to explain the interrelation of the intellectual celestial and terrestrial kingdoms and of man and his maker. An interesting and instructive treatise based upon Dr. Henry Raymond Rogers' Theory of the Great Physical Forces, published by Metaphysical Publishing Company, 500 Fifth Avenue, New York. Price $1, 110 pages, red, cloth, and gold. The Philosophy of Fasting by Edward Earl Purinton, 130 large pages, olive, green, and gold, halftone of the author, price $1, published by B. Lust, 124 East 59th Street, New York. The author calls his book a message for sufferers and sinners and gives you the philosophy and practice of fasting for every virtue and achievement under the sun. The book is full of wisdom and inspiration for others besides sufferers and sinners. The 20th Century Christ by Paul Karishna, 205 pages, green silk cloth and gold, price $1.10 post-paid, Lothrop, Lee, and Shepherd. The publishers say of this unusual book, various systems of philosophy from the Greek to that of the modern evolutionist are appealed to in the finding of the Christ. The conclusion of all this research honors the master. The author is a well-known jurist who prefers to let his work speak for itself under a pen name. This is an exciting book throughout because of its striking originality, its unusual scholarship, and its thrilling earnestness. In this next section, they have what we might call letters to the editor. And so they say, here is a sample of the sort of letters we receive from all over this beautiful green earth. Do you wonder that we are happy, successful, with such blessings following us? And we send the blessings right along again to our readers with all the good new things we can find to put into the Nautilus pages. And this is the letter they received from a reader. I have been a reader of the Nautilus for over a year. I first saw a copy of it in Greeley, Colorado, and am certainly in love with it, for it has made me a better man, and it is my hope and my guide. I'm continually traveling for a firm in Indianapolis, Indiana, but your Nautilus finds me waiting for it. It just came to me day before yesterday from Texarkana, Texas. I had an audience at my hotel last evening, listening as I read the article To Lengthen Life by William E. Towne. They all declared it fine. I have interested several parties in Nautilus. I take it, sing its praises everywhere I go. It has taught me to look at nature in a different light. I wander over the mountains that nearly surround this beautiful little village of 7,000 and enjoy my own company. I fill up with such perfect happiness that I forget all about dinner and forget myself, and sometimes think I am the happiest mortal that lives. I never knew what deep breathing meant until I read Nautilus. I have gained 19 pounds in 1 year, just a gradual gain through deep breathing and physical culture. I have so many friends who are readers of the Nautilus from 12 different states in which I have been selling goods. Mrs. A is very much enthused over a copy I sent her. I have paid the price of 4 subscriptions for those who could not spare the money. I would loan them a copy and then donate 50 cents. I consider that every family in the United States ought to read the Nautilus. Henry P. Barton, Kansas City, Missouri. This next little snippet talks about a housewarming that Elizabeth and William Towne had where they presented 17 young women. The headline says, "Young Men Wait. Mr. and Mrs. W.E. Towne's housewarming presents fine girls for future consideration." Mr. and Mrs. William E. Towne entertained 16 young ladies at a housewarming and tea Thursday afternoon from 5 to 8 o'clock. A very pleasant time was passed with music and a general viewing of the new home from attic to cellar. Tea was served in the new dining room, the table being daintily decorated in red carnations with festoons of smilax trailing from the chandelier to the 4 corners of the table. Mrs. Edward L. Twing poured. The guests were Miss Layla Hunter, Miss Anna Parker, Miss Mary Parker, Mrs. Alice and Ellen Elliott, Mrs. Hortense Cooley, Miss Frances Morgan, Miss Frances Kidney, Miss Pamela Newsome, Miss Clara Cordes, Miss Maud Prescott, Miss Mary Quirk, Miss Helen Shumway, Miss Flora Schmidt, Mrs. Lillian Witherell, and Miss Nellie Caron. The 11 young ladies first named are those who helped Mr. and Mrs. Towne in their work. The latter 5 have been their helpers at previous times and are still looked upon as relatives, at least of the Nautilus family. Great were the rejoicings over the new offices. "Why, isn't this lovely?" said the ex-helpers. "It is," remarked one of the young ladies who is there every day. "It doesn't seem like work when you have such pleasant surroundings." "And this mailing room," exclaimed another. "Do you remember the little 2x4 shelf in the pantry that used to serve as the mailing room? What a contrast!" And Miss Hunter, Miss Newsome, and Miss Morgan remembered. Miss Morgan has been with Mr. and Mrs. Towne since September 1902 and will soon leave them to be married to Edgar M. Osgood. This will be the first marriage among the Nautilus girls, and the Townes are hoping it will not start an epidemic. Mrs. Towne wants to keep the rest of the girls until they are old enough to marry, until they are 28 or 30 years of age, and then she will give them all excellent references for the consideration of aspiring young men. It wasn't a fashionable tea. It was just a jolly family affair with lots of fun and all the girls, including me, doing musical stunts. We have some good voices and good pianists in the bunch, and jollying the 2 brides-to-be. Helen Shumway is to be married in the fall, and all of us talking and singing songs together, and then everybody sitting around the new dining room and lunching together. Yes, William was with us in it all, quite at home too. Catherine was rather scandalized at our calling it a housewarming tea and then having chairs and no tea. We had tea, but everyone asked for chocolate, and I told her, no, stand on one foot and then the other parties for us. We sit down and enjoy ourselves, and we did. And the girls must have enjoyed it, for they were invited for 2 hours and 3 had passed before anybody thought of it. That night we went to sleep happy in the consciousness that our new home was at last settled and well warmed and properly blessed to our good purposes. They then have an article about a new church that the Christian Scientists dedicated. The article says the Christian Scientists dedicated a magnificent new $2 million mother church at Boston on Sunday, June 10th, and incidentally made Boston and the rest of the world bug its eyes. There were at least 30,000 visiting scientists in Boston for the occasion, and they began to gather at the great church, which seats over 5,000 people and adjoins the old Mother Church, which looks small beside it, at 5 o'clock in the morning. At 7:30, when the doors were opened for the first of 6 dedicatory meetings held that day, the streets were blocked in all directions. When the doors opened, the people filed in rapidly but very quietly, without apparently diminishing the crowd in the least. All day they waited reverent, orderly at times, singing hymns here, there, fainting from the heat, like any good Methodist or Baptist. 6 times the church filled that day, and at 8 o'clock in the evening, when the last service was underway, at least 10,000 people had to go home without having been able to enter the church. The crowds were a marvel, but the reverence, quietness, patience, and polite behavior of the people were beyond anything dreamed of. The extra policemen found absolutely nothing to do towards keeping order. No pushing when the audiences changed, and every person who emerged from the church walked straight out of the neighborhood at the leader's request to make room for others who were waiting a chance to enter. On Monday, the scientists rested and saw sights, and on Tuesday night, Boston is to see with a wonder experience meeting of the world. There will be simultaneous meetings in the new church, the old one, and in 6 large public halls in the vicinity. It is safe to say that every meeting will be crowded, and every man, woman, and child ready and eager to stand up and tell what Christian Science has done for him. At the service this Sunday, the regular collection brought $50,000, hardly a coin in the whole amount, all in bills from $1 to $100 each, and absolutely no call made for money. It was truly a free will offering from the most wonderful religious people of the ages. This Christian Science convention is a wonder, and I feel almost as happy over it and proud of it all as if I belonged to their branch of the New Thought. William and I both wanted to go right down and add our dollars to the collection. And in this section, they invite their readers to submit articles. So this is letter number 21. First, find out what you are best adapted to, otherwise you will not reach your highest attainment. The occupation that warms your soul with enthusiasm and respect, that fills you with new ideas, and that you fill with original ideas, is your ideal pursuit. Never mind if it shines as a star in the distance. Hitch your wagon to that star and hang right on, no matter how rough the road, how many jolts you may get, how many hills to climb, or sand hatches to wade through. Look out occasionally and note the obstacles for future references and instruction. Don't look too long. Keep your eye on that ideal. It will get nearer and nearer, even if you yourself are sometimes doubtful of it. Events will shape themselves to assist you. Hindrances will vanish. Opportunities will appear, and assistance will spring up around you that you little dreamed of and did not see coming. Try it. Never mind if it takes years. Aren't you working for something, towards something better? Begin now, don't wait. Time is flying. Carolyn W. Hyde of Burr Oak, Michigan. Letter number 22. In my own individual case, as wife and mother on a ranch where time and money and even strength seems limited, and the meaning of success is to do my own work and at the same time preside gracefully over our little kingdom, the quickest and surest way to realize success has been to cut out the non-essentials and be optimistic. Madame Marie. And now I'm going to skip back over to a 1905 edition of the Nautilus magazine with a listing of more books and things. The Perfect Life is a little brown 16-page pamphlet by Mrs. A.C. Hinkst, 119 East 15th Street, New York. Price 25 cents. Self-Culture, or What Every Man and Woman Can Do, by Nani V. Simmons, 3036 Indiana Avenue, Chicago. 28 pages, paper, price 25 cents. And God Said is a volume by Ursula N. Gestfield, published by Exodus Publishing Company, 203 Michigan Avenue, Chicago. 160 large pages, light gray cloth, price $1.50. The Psychology of Finance is a new and helpful little symposium of suggestions for success by Nancy McKay Gordon, author of Women Revealed, artistically bound in brown and red paper, 42 pages, price 50 cents. Mrs. Gordon's address is 241 Dearborn Avenue, Chicago. The Law of Financial Success by Edward H. Cowles, D.P., is a pretty little green and violet paper-bound book of 61 pages, published by the Alta Vista Publishing Company, Drawer Y, Santa Cruz, California, and sold for 50 cents. Interesting and practical, Dr. Cowles edits Thoughts New and Old, a quarterly magazine. Conable's Pathfinder says that Helen Wilmans and her daughter Ada W. Powers have bought a home in Los Angeles where they expect to remain, and that after the complete settlement of her case, which is expected in December, the public, as well as her friends, will hear from Mrs. Wilmans again. Rich Man's Guide and Poor Man's Friend is a 220-page light blue and red cloth-bound volume by Willard I. Graves, 306 Pacific Block, Seattle, Washington. Price is $1. Here are two pretty little paper-bound booklets by Annie Rick Smilets from the Absolute Press, New York. One is All Things Are Possible to Them That Believe, 15 pages, bound in green and gold, price 10 cents, full of hope and inspiration for those of little faith. The other is None of These Things Move Me, 10 pages, dark gray, printed in white, price 5 cents, full of help for the impatient ones with whom things always seem to be going wrong. In Unity for August is a reprint of one of Ella Wheeler Wilcox's Chicago American articles, which I wish every Nautilus reader would consider carefully. The article is especially valuable for those who are mediums or who consult mediums. Mrs. Wilcox is fully qualified to write something about psychic phenomena. By the way, after September 1st, Unity's address will be 913 Tracy Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri. They are moving into larger mansions. May they keep on increasing their quarters. The Zone Lessons, or Man Revealed, are a new set of 23 short lessons by Dr. George W. Carey, Box 357, Los Angeles, California, price $5. They give the numerical value, color vibrations, character, astrological relation, and alchemical meaning of the 26 letters of our alphabet, based on the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, so that the student may readily read a person's character from his name. Dr. Carey says it would take $100 worth of books and several years of study to give you the information he has condensed into these 23 pages of instruction. And this is an article. As the moment approached for me to address the National Businesswomen's League convention in New York on July 6th, I found my heart going pit-a-pat, like any 16-year-old schoolgirl's. You see, in 7 years or more, I have only twice attempted to speak before a room full of people, and this was New York, and I had no written paper to depend upon and almost no preparation of the ideas I was to present. All this my heart kept insisting upon until it was in a panic, but I recalled my principles in time. Now be still, I said to myself, and do the best you can, and it will be good. It will be good, for the Spirit shall give you in that hour the things you shall say. Still my heart insisted upon its panic, but I reiterated, peace, be still, and began to take slow, full breaths, affirming peace with each exhalation. I kept the slow, deep breaths and affirmations going all through the reading of Miss Harden's paper, about 10 minutes. And at the same time, I took in what she was saying. Only enough of my conscious attention was given to the breathing and affirming to keep it going fully and rhythmically. The rest of my attention followed Miss Harden. All the time, my heart seemed to be trying to run away with me, held only by the steady breathing and affirming, just as a frightened horse is held from running by a firm hand on the reins and a quiet word. Then Miss Harden's paper came to its close, and my heart gave an extra tug. But my full breathing kept steadily going, all the way up to the platform, until I faced my audience and opened my lips to speak. Then I forgot everything but the smiling faces before me and the message I had for them. After it was all over, I realized that I had spoken unusually well for me, with not a shade of nervousness, with ideas and words coming smoothly, readily. I will venture the statement that not a soul in that room even guessed that I was panic-stricken at the thought of trying to speak to them. And it was the worst panic I ever experienced, with the best grounds for its existence. And I was glad of the whole experience, for again I had demonstrated what I have taught to many public speakers and singers and actresses, and to many a schoolgirl facing her commencement essay, that stage fright can be easily controlled and eventually eliminated by slow, full breathing and statements of peace. Let the heart thump and shy if it will. Just keep a steady hand on the reins, on the breathing, and you will find when it is time to move your heart and mind, it will settle readily into their normal and best pace. The next article is about the New Thought Convention. The 5th annual convention of the New Thought Federation will be held this year at Nevada, Missouri, September 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. The Weltmer School of Healing furnishes the Federation with hall, stenographers, etc., and the whole 10,000 residents of Nevada, most of whom they say are New Thought people, will make things as pleasant as possible for visitors. The town of Nevada is said to be a beautiful and interesting summer resort. It is built upon a spur of Ozark Mountains and has mineral wells and beautiful parks galore. We hope the whole town will be kept busy entertaining hosts of the New Thought visitors, and that the convention will prove a great success in all ways. Here they're writing about their garden. We are to have nearly the last of our sweet corn today, August 30th, made into succotash, with some lima beans and some cucumbers too, and tomatoes. The corn has been lovely, but the ears were stubby. We think it was pretty fine for new land, though. The whole little garden did beautifully. The pole bean vines must be 12 or 15 feet long and loaded with pods, and the cucumbers are a wonder. We have beets and cucumbers galore, and our new rhubarb is growing splendidly. That Luther Burbank rhubarb is far nicer than the common kind. We have had sauce from it several times, and we have a dozen or so squashes, some of which look ready to cook. All this in spite of the woodchucks. The little garden patch has been a great pleasure all summer. The only thing planted that did not do remarkably well considering conditions were the 3 rows of sweet peas which William had planted to the southwest of the corn. Too shady. Next year we'll know better what to plant and how. William is setting another flight of stone steps at Net Top. These steps are to carry us up from the road over the first steep incline of our little hill. He says he means to take his time with these steps, setting 1 stone each Saturday, so it may take all summer. From the top of the steps, our path runs up toward the cabin by way of a very tiny little gully, carpeted with partridge-berry vines, with maidenhair fern and wild lilies of the valley peeping through the bushes and trees, which form a continuous bower overhead. The path comes out at the clump of hemlocks where the hammock swings and the plants grow. We think our big chestnut trees will bear plentiful crop and invite our chipmunks and squirrels back next year. We want all the little wild things to be home on Net Top except the woodchucks. Every woman would appreciate my Net Top gowns. They are made of gingham. I bought a Mother Hubbard long-sleeved apron pattern to cut them by. Then, instead of gathering the fullness at the yoke, I had it laid in 3-inch deep tucks on either side of the front and back, the tucks running out at the knee. The gowns are ankle length, with round neck and strings to tie the fullness back around the hips, just as children's loose aprons are tied back. The sleeves are about 3/4 length, with ruffle and loose band at bottom. I consider them as about the neatest and most artistic thing out for wear while doing housework or for outdoor work or fun. I have 2 aprons made the same way, except that they are short-sleeved and low-necked, that I wear in the kitchen at home. With one of these gowns on, there are 2, one fine checked blue and the other fine striped blue, and William's old holy Panama hat. I feel dressed to my taste, if not the Queen's. Generally, I wear no hat at all. Nearly all summer I have been going without a hat, even on the trolley rides. A good many others do it, and I consider it a very good thing for health and hair as well as for comfort, but it is a little hard on the milliners. And with that, my beautiful friends, I'm going to bid you sweet dreams. My hope is this time with the angels and our time together has created a beautiful gateway of light for you to rest and sleep and find your way into the beautiful new energies of the coming year. You are loved. You are a blessing. And I am so grateful for the opportunity to spend this time with you. Be well, and we'll connect again soon.